Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. This is your brother Lawrence, and here on this channel we share and comment on events that are taking place both within and outside of the SDA church. So on the 3rd of August 2025, the village church business meeting voted to remove the ban placed on Conrad Vine by the Michigan Conference. And, as I shared with you in a previous video, Jimmy Church, who is the president of the Michigan Conference, and the entire conference were not happy about the action of the village church. So what did the Michigan Conference do? They reached out to the General Conference for support. And friends, I made this video I think 3 or 4 months ago. So here is what the Michigan Conference actually stated in the letter they sent to the General Conference for support. I read: the Michigan Conference has formally requested the General Conference to have the Church Manual Committee review the relevant sections, particularly pages 35 and 126 to 127, and provide an official ruling. If the General Conference concludes that the Michigan Conference acted outside of policy or its authority, we will honor that and adjust the restriction accordingly. However, if the General Conference affirms that the Michigan Conference acted within its rightful jurisdiction, we will ask the village church to rescind its August 3rd action. So this was the letter sent to the General Conference by the Michigan Conference, after the village SDA church voted to lift the ban on Conrad Vine. Friends, now here is the point. After the conference had sent the letter to the General Conference, we were all waiting for the GC response. And friends, the GC has responded. The General Conference has responded to the Michigan Conference, and the response of the General Conference is seen in a new letter issued by the Michigan Conference to the village SDA church. Now, notice that in the SDA church, there is a structure. All right. God, through the leadership of the church, has actually organized a structure that if something happens in a local conference, the local conference must not go straight to the General Conference for resolution. Instead, the local conference must reach out to the union. And if that issue is not solved, it can go from the union to the division, and from the division to the General Conference. But in this case, friends, the Michigan Conference did not reach out to the union, which is the Lake Union Conference. They did not reach out to the division, which is the North American Division, but they went straight to the General Conference. Let us go into the letter and look at the General Conference response to the Michigan Conference after they reached out to them. Now, this letter was issued on 6th November 2025, and it says, "Dear Village Church, thank you for your patience as we sought guidance from the General Conference regarding the proper application of the church manual provisions in question. From the outset, our intent in making this request was to obtain an impartial denominational understanding rather than engage in a disagreement with the local congregation. The General Conference's response clarified several key points. 1. The Church Manual Committee functions as an editorial and advisory body for revisions and recommendations, but does not have administrative authority to interpret or issue official explanations of church manual language. Point 2. Developing and implementing speaker guidelines is the responsibility of the local conference. These guidelines direct conference administration, pastors, and churches to ensure all activities align with denominational policy and mission. Point 3. The church manual that is page 19, where to get advice. Instruct church officers and leaders, pastors, and members to consult their conference regarding questions of local church operations or manual interpretation. If understanding cannot be reached, the matter should be referred to the union conference for clarification. In addition, the church manual, that is the 2022 version, page 31, further specifies when differences arise in or between churches and conferences or institutions, matters that are not mutually resolved may be appealed to the next higher organization. If the matter does not get resolved at this level, the aggrieved entity may appeal to successively higher levels of organization. An organization to which an appeal is forwarded may choose not to hear the matter, in which case the decision of the highest organization involved in the dispute shall be final. In light of the General Conference's response and this procedural guidance, we are requesting that the Lake Union Conference review this matter and provide counsel regarding the appropriate application of the church manual provisions, particularly those found on pages 35 and 126 to 127. We are committed to abiding by its counsel and will adjust our position accordingly. Our desire is to resolve this matter respectfully and move forward together in our shared mission. Thank you for your continued prayer and commitment to unity. Friends, so this is a letter that was written by the Michigan Conference to the village church, explaining what the GC actually told them when they sought to them for support or guidance. Now, from the letter I just read, friends, you would understand that the GC, the GC is referring the Michigan Conference back to their union, because that is how the church functions, all right? The structure of the church, that is how it functions. You don't just go to the General Conference with an issue. You'd have to first go to the union if you were a local conference, then you go to the division before it gets to the General Conference. But the Michigan Conference did not do all that. They went straight, bypassing the Lake Union Conference, bypassing the North American Division to the General Conference. And now the General Conference is referring them back. Go and start from the basics. Go and start from the basics. You need to respect. You need to respect your union. You need to respect the division. And I think the General Conference acted so smart. Yes, and I applaud them for doing that. It looks like the Michigan Conference is in a hot pan. Friends, yes, that is what I can see. That is what I can see. Because one, the conference is losing a lot of money because of the issue of Conrad Vine, the issue of the village church, and everything that is going on there. Losing money in terms of tithes. Tithes in the conference, according to reports from various sources, has dropped significantly. People in the Michigan Conference, especially in the village SDA church, have redirected their tithe to other places, other conferences. And now the Michigan Conference is suffering. And this is a fact. Now, I want you to share your thoughts in the comments about what the General Conference did. Did the General Conference do the right thing by referring the Michigan Conference back to the union? Was that the right thing? How do you feel about that, friends? And before I go, friends, let me say this. I think the Lake Union Conference should rebuke the Michigan Conference for first bypassing them, second bypassing the NAD to the General Conference. Yes, because what the Michigan Conference did shows that they did not respect the leadership of the Lake Union Conference. They did not respect the structure of the church. So I'm saying this again. The Lake Union Conference, before they actually handle this issue and provide whatever support the Michigan Conference is seeking, they need to first tell them their sins, rebuke them for their sins, and tell them to do the right thing next time. That is my thoughts. That is my thoughts, friends. This is not hard criticism or being hard on the Michigan Conference. But, friends, as a church conference and as leaders in the Michigan Conference, I think this is something basic that they all need to know and understand, that before something reaches the general conference, it must first get through to the union, the division, and to the general conference. But why did they decide to bypass all these people, these conferences, to the general conference? Why? That's the question. Why? So, friends, let me pause here and also allow you to share your thoughts in the comments. All right. Whenever we hear any updates about this particular story, we will come back and give them right to you. This is all I had to share with you today, and may God bless you for watching. See you again.